So to get through to this first prototype, the general form was all defined in styrofoam, and all the conceptualization happened at that point in playing with form. After that, once everything was set, I needed to get to a point of being able to cast it into a real world material that would work for the product. To do that, I ended up coating the back with a water putty, which enabled me to get a flat surface and be able to define a clean seam line that way. Then I coated the surface with a plasticine oil-based clay. That gave me a nice smooth finish to it and also helped me define the form and refine the form, I guess. After that point, a flask was defined, building walls around the perimeter of that original piece. Keys were set in place to enable my mold to lock back together. At that point then, ended up pouring it with silicone rubber, letting that cure for 24 hours. After that, I had a good solid, but we needed to get to a hollow point to enable to fit all the technologies for this thing to do what it needs to do. So at that point, I ended up going back to my plasticine, ruling out a uniform thickness of it at the desired thickness to allow light and those factors to come into play to give us the results we wanted. At that point, I was able to extend the walls of my flask higher, pour a second half of the silicone, and letting it cure. For this particular mold, I broke away from traditions of having a pour spout and air venting and went to a squish style mold, I guess you would call it, in which I can just put the two parts together, let my excess material flow out the seam lines, and that way then all that is left other than the part itself is a thin flashing, making my post-production time far more efficient.